think we're already live. Trying to get the camera all set up here. What's going on? Welcome back to Thursday night. Top 5 baits live discussion, question and answer, right here on the Your Lake Fort Guide YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. We're already getting some comments come in. We'll see who all's here. Kevin Jones, Seabach Lane, Seaman, Stephen Latham, Random Skills, Troy Hicks. The first few in the door, and we sure appreciate you guys stopping by, hang out with us for a little bit tonight, talk about what baits I think are going to work best for this weekend, and man, a lot of challenging conditions no matter where you are in the East Texas area right now with all the crazy weather that's going on with the rain, man. Lots and lots of rain. If you don't know, there's a little tournament, a little derby that started today on Lake Fork. Bassmaster Elite Series is there. 3 bags over 30 pounds today, and the lake's fishing tough. Like, it's not fishing good. The lake, literally, they dropped it yesterday, kind of preemptively before all the rain last night. So they dropped it dramatically yesterday. It came up overnight, and now, as of today, it's kind of rising. It should be starting to fall out now. So the lake's just going up, down, up, down, up, down. And they're still catching 30-pound bags. I mean, Lake Fork is just an unbelievable fishery. Somebody asked how the Bassmaster traffic was. Here's one thing that I noticed. Lake Fork is always a pretty crowded lake. It's a real crowded lake, but people kind of spread out and fish all over the place. I can tell you something right now. It's amazing how fast. I fish Lake Fork every day, and I'm not saying I find the best fishing areas out there. I don't think that I always do, but I find some darn good ones. Getting to spend all the time out there that I do. Those guys find all the good stuff like that. I went by one of them today. I was in there fishing. We were set up on a bedfish. We had my customers. And one of those guys came in, so we went ahead and picked up and left. It wasn't that big. It was a decent bedfish, but it wasn't real big. So we picked up and left, and actually 2 pros came in at the same time. And I mean, I've literally had 0 people in this little pocket. This pocket is tucked away, out of the way. And as I left there and I went by him, I said, man, y'all sure don't miss much. Them boys are good, man. They don't miss much at all. I haven't had another guide in there. I haven't had I haven't seen another boat in that pocket like all week. And I saw 3 different pros in it today. So they're good. They're really, really good. Happy birthday to Captain Ron. That's right, Captain Ron, which I really just realized this like a minute ago. It is Captain Ron, Ronnie Kelly, his birthday today. So big happy birthday to my boy Captain Ron. He had a good time today. They went to another lake because of the Elite Series event, and they stroked them. Caught a lot of numbers. They caught their butts pretty good. KVD, Kevin Van Dan is in the house. He's flying back from Vegas. Kevin Van Dan says he noticed some of the elite guys were fishing some spots found on the Fish Life app. Well, that is true. Wouldn't you know it? Blake Horton, it's your birthday too. Happy birthday to Blake Horton. He has the same birthday as Captain Ron. So that being said, let's get into top 5 baits. It's a fun top 5 baits. Like it's a fun one. There's so many we could do. I'm going to give you what I'm using right now for me. I know if Captain Ron was here, he'd have the Carolina rig and the big top waters and the big swim baits and all that stuff going on. I'm going about it a little differently. I am doing some of that. On the main lake points, but I've got top 5 baits. This is for shallow water fishing because I think all of our fisheries, and for all you guys that are weekend anglers, it's really easy for you guys to go out and it's easier for you guys to go out and fish these spawning areas. And if I can cue you into some of the baits that are working in there, maybe you guys can get a few more bites. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And as I'm sitting here looking at these baits, every time I look up, I think of another bait that I should have brought in that I didn't. Like top 5 is a hard number to get your baits down to in May. Let's get started. Top waters are key. Okay, top waters are a big deal right now. So the Splashback 70 popper from 6 Sense Fishing and the Dogma 100 from 6 Sense Fishing. You can throw both these into spawner areas along grass edges, along flooded bushes, reed heads, stuff like that. Anywhere they might be spawning or fry guarding. There's a whole bunch of fry guarding going on right now. So anywhere they might be spawning or fry guarding, start your day out, or if it's overcast, throw them all day. These 2 hard body topwaters are great right now. You can find those at 6censefishing.com. If you'd like to place an order at 6censefishing.com, be sure you punch in the discount code Your Lake Fork Guide. You'll get a 10% discount on all orders. So topwater baits are definitely in there. There's 2 right there. Now, if the vegetation's a little thicker, a little tougher to get through, all that good stuff, the Spro Popping Frog's great. Cowboy. Oh, Cowboy. I think this thing's called Bad Shot. I don't even know what this is called. Killer Gill, I think is what it's called. Spro Popping Frog's doing really well. I don't know if this will show up on camera, but this sucker has been chewed. It's not, the teeth marks I don't think are really showing. He's starting to lose his eyeballs a little bit. He's been chewed on. There's some teeth marks on there. They're biting that frog. If you guys watch the live coverage on Bassmaster, a lot of guys catch them on a frog. I like this color right here. Captain Ron turned me onto that color a couple years ago, and man, it's a deadly colored frog. Throw that in the same areas, the shallow waters, the coves, the backs of the coves. You can throw that back there in the vegetation where the vegetation's thicker and you can't use those treble hook baits. That works really good. If you got some wind in the area you're fishing, if you got a little wind, this little hollow belly, or if you want to go out and fish that shad spawn deal, this little hollow belly, like, it's a 2-pronged animal. You can throw this on the shad spawn deal, and even the big ones will bite that little swim bait on the shad spawn deal. They sure will. Also, you can throw it in the areas where they're spawning if you got a little wind in those areas. So 4.5-inch hollow belly from Smash Tech Custom Baits, 5-aught on a Flashy Swimmer's how we're doing that. And the 5th bait, guys, and this is a really good one, but it works so good when they're guarding fry, is a Wacky Worm. And I'm actually throwing a Senko. You can throw a trick worm as well, either one. This was the Senko we were using today, the old I call this Christmas tree. It's got red and green flake in it. Actually, one of the viewers of the channel and one of my guide customers turned me on to this color a few years back, and it's worked really well for me ever since too. Watermelon with red and green flakes. So Christmas tree, that's what we call it. That's the official hashtag, drop it in the comments name, Christmas tree. Just wacky rig, old wacky Senko, or wacky trick worm. Whenever they're guarding fry, something that'll fall real slow through that fry gets a lot of attention. Whenever they're guarding fry, you can work that frog real slow right over their head. It gets their attention. Anything you can work and kind of keep it one place, it's moving around that fry like it's messing with that fry, but it's not really moving forward. You see what I'm saying? Anything that you can work in one place and give it a lot of action without it moving forward real fast. Y'all catching what I'm throwing right there? Hopefully you are. These are all like it's fry guarding. There's a lot of fry guarding going on these lakes in Northeast Texas right now. So that's the top 5 baits this week. Carolina rig could have been on here for the main lake points. The big swim baits could have been on here. The bigger topwaters could have been on here for the shad spawn deal on the main lake points, especially the gizzard shad spawn. Texas rig creature bait could have been on here. Sight fishing could have been on here. Oh, about to sneeze. Whew. Chatterbait could have been on here. The same deal as the swim bait. There's a lot. Square bill could be on here. Like, a lot of different baits can work. Those are my top 5 baits, and I think if you go to those backs of pockets where you got those fry garters and those spawning fish in there, those baits right there will get you bit. Like, that's kind of your safest bet. Not necessarily your home run bet, but your safe bet to go out and catch some fish. Get in those spawning areas and throw those baits right there. All right, let's start answering some questions. And you guys have been dropping them in here. I'm going to try and get back to as many of them as I can. If you want to drop it in again, go ahead. Was the tournament still open to the public at Sabine River Authority today, or was it closed because of the flood last night? It looked like it was open when I drove by it on the lake. It looked like there was a bunch of people over there. So I think, I don't know. I was on the water all day. I just got home a little while ago. Will someone catch 40 pounds this weekend? Someone will probably catch a 40-pound bag before this tournament's through. I think they will. It's hard to land those fish. Those big fish are biting the top waters on that shad spawn deal, and when you got a treble hook on a big old 9-pounder, and dude, the fish in Lake Fork are so dang strong right now. It's hard to land those fish on treble hook baits. It's real hard. What's the biggest fish you think will be caught? I think somebody will break 10 pounds. It's going to be hard to get over 10 pounds because a lot of these fish are post-spawn and not carrying a lot of weight. But I definitely think there'll be more than one 10-pounder caught in this tournament. Today was a tough day because of the water level fluctuation. If that thing settles out and that water level quits changing, I think it's going to be, I think Zaldane's deal will settle in and it'll be real good. I think Zaldane's going to bust a big sack before this is all said and done. That's what I think. I could be wrong though. Is Lake Winsboro going to be on Fish Life? Probably not. Probably not. It's a small lake. It would have to be in a multi-lake package, and I just am kind of maxed out on time as is. Unless somebody else wants to come on and do like the Wood County lakes. I don't know. Maybe someday if we get the right partner for it, maybe. Do the pros have to honor the slot? No, they are weighing them in the boat, Major League Fishing style. Actually, this is Toyota Texas Bass Classic style. They've been doing this since way back in the early 2000s when they started the Toyota Texas Bass Classic. But they're weighing them on scales with an official in the boat and releasing them right there so the slot fish count. Have I fished the mag draft that Zaldane is throwing? I have thrown it. It's a good bait. It's a real good bait. I don't throw it a lot. I like some of the Smash Tech stuff. I'm real loyal to Smash Tech on my swim baits. They make as good a selection of swim baits as anybody on earth, in my opinion. But the mag draft is a good bait. It is. It's hard to get it to swim right. It's a bait that's real particular about making it swim right and balance, but it catches them. It's a good bait. Jeff Partridge in the house. What's up, big dog? Glad to have Jeffy. Oh, Jeffy Pooh. Glad to have him back in town, man. Good, he's back. Glad to see. Saw your old lady today. She told me you're back in town. I was happy to hear it. Somebody says they crushed them on the small hollow belly light hitch and flashy swimmer for the first time last weekend. Heck yeah, Colton Loach. That's awesome, buddy. Looking at boats, would you recommend taking out a personal loan of $10K and buying a Craigslist boat or buying a brand new $45,000 bass boat? So here's my deal about buying a boat. You want one that's got a warranty on it. Rent that sucker. Oh, hey now. A little malfunction there, folks. Rent a boat. What is going on tonight? The phone's just like jumping off the wall here. Rent your boats is my advice on that. Rent them. If that makes sense. Like, buy a new boat. Find a demo model. Buy them at the end of the year when the rebates are high. Get a good deal on a new boat. Run that sucker for a couple years while it's still got plenty of warranty left on it. Sell it. Get out from under it. Rent it. Yeah, you lose a little money, but you basically just rented the boat for 2 years. That way you have a warranty. That way if anything goes wrong functionally with the boat, anything breaks, it's fixed free of charge. I highly recommend having a warranty on your boat. By the way, if you want a really good deal on a boat that'll still have plenty of warranty on it, I'll be selling mine at the end of the summer. Holler at your boy, you might say. Somebody says they've never seen Keith Combs throw any color crankbait besides chartreuse and blueback. Why not? I mean, why? Like, it's probably the best crankbait color ever. I throw it a lot too. I love it. Somebody asked me how am I liking my new reels. I'm fishing all loose reels now, and I absolutely love them. They're amazing. Somebody's asking in the tournament, since they're weighing them and releasing boat, can they weigh more than 5 fish? They're just counting their best 5 fish. It is a best 5 tournament, but as far as weighing them, they weigh them in the boat, release them immediately, but they do cull their smaller ones and only count their best 5. Somebody asked, do the nav chips come with the boat? Like, as in, do my waypoints come with the boat? That can be negotiated. Why not? Is there a seminar tomorrow night at Lake Fort Marina? Nope, we're on an off week for the seminar. The seminar will be a week from tomorrow. We'd love to see you guys. If y'all going to be around Lake Fort, please do come out. We do free seminars every other Friday night at Lake Fort Marina at 6 p.m. We'll have one a week from tomorrow. We would love to see you there. Combs may catch a big bag out deep on the crankbait. He might have some fish come to him and show up. They might come his way. Eddie Espinoza said, what's up, Billy? Joining you tonight from all the way out in Clovis, California. God dang, dude, that's awesome. That's amazing. Thank you so much. What colors are best to throw jig-wise or crawl? Brim-looking colors right now. In Texas, brim-looking colors are the best one to throw. The brimmer, man, they might be starting to spawn a little bit. I think they are. I'm seeing a lot of brim up shallow. If they're not spawning, they're terrorizing the bass on the beds and they're terrorizing the fry. So bass are real defensive against brim right now, bluegill, brim, whatever you want to call it. So, greens and browns, a little bit of blue, a little bit of red in it. That's why your watermelon reds and your Okeechobee craws and all that stuff works so good in the spring. It's because it looks a lot like the brim we have around here. I'm guessing that Combs caught all post-spawn fish. Yeah. I mean, yeah. All Combs fish are post-spawn pretty much, yeah. There might be a couple of pre-spawners mixed in there. That spawn lasts longer than people realize it does. And everything's so far behind. Like, timing-wise, guys, right now, basically, we're in early April. I know the calendar says May, but the water says, second week of April. Maybe maybe mid-April. That's about what the water thinks the calendar is as far as what's going on out there. Somebody's asking about Mike. What's happened to Mike? Is Mike okay? Mike is just fine as far as I know. Mike's not going to be on the channel anymore. Mike decided to go his own way. It was totally his decision. Nobody asked him to leave or nothing like that. Mike decided he wanted to kind of take a step back from what we were doing on the social media stuff and on the YouTube stuff and with me, and decided he wanted to do his own thing, and we fully support him and wish him the absolute best. I got nothing negative to say about Mike McFarland. He's a great guy. So, Mike, wish you all the best, buddy, and he's doing his own thing. And if you want to get a trip with Mike, man, give him a call. He's a good dude. All right, we've about caught up with the questions. We have just about caught up. Well, we have caught up with the questions, actually. So if I miss your question earlier, please drop it in again. I'll be happy to answer it. Sometimes they come in so fast I can't answer them fast enough. So if you asked a question earlier I did not get to it, please drop it in again. Any more prank videos coming soon? I've got one little quick one, prank video. You guys like the prank videos. We'll have to pull some more of those out. We've got some stuff on camera. I just haven't had time, man. I've been so busy. It's been hard to get everything out, get everything produced. Joey Burke says, teaching me a lot, man. Watch all the time. Fish on from Royce City, Texas. There were a couple of 10-pounders in a pond that would bite nothing guarding... What? Man, I'm having a hard time reading that. They wouldn't bite nothing guarding a bed. You're probably too close. Back off. Get long ways away from where you can't see them. Cast blind to them over and over and over and over again if you want to catch that 10-pounder on a bed. Do you think the lake will turn over soon? No. Lakes don't really turn over in the spring, but that's a fall deal. What about former guide Lee Livesay? What about him? He had a decent day. He had 22 pounds today. I mean, it's certainly not a bad day. Unfortunately, it's Lake Fork, and some guys, the top guy's right at 32 pounds, so he's got a lot of ground to make up. So Lee can do it. Lee can definitely do it. I hope he does, man. It'd be cool to see him do his thing on the old home pond. I know he's an absolute hammer, so we'll see how it works out. Does Lake Fork have spots, as in spotted bass? I've never caught a spotted bass out of Lake Fork. Now, I'm sure that it does have some of the regular spotted bass, not the real big spotted bass. We have those Kentucky spotted bass that don't get very big. It's pretty much all we have around here. I've never caught one on Fork, though. What else we got, fellas? Ask me some more questions here. I'm telling you guys, it's insane. There was over 100 fish over 4 pounds caught today on Lake Fork. And it's not fishing good. It's tough conditions. Like, a crazy amount of rain fell last night. They dropped the lake rose, now they're dropping it again. Like, it's the fact that it's producing what it's producing is amazing. If you had these conditions on most lakes, it'd be like half the guys wouldn't get a limit. But everybody's getting a limit, and half the field's a 20-pound bag. Like, Lake Fork is insane, dude. Most places you go, a 20-pound bag's a big deal. Here, it's like, even in the worst conditions, it's like, no, not good enough. Not even close, Jack. Lake Fork is an insane place. It's unbelievable to really start thinking about the amount of 4, 5, 6, 7 pound fish that swim in this lake. If that sucker levels out, if the rain takes it easy on us tomorrow, like if the rain doesn't get us real bad over the next 24 to 48 hours, and the level of the lake levels out and the water stabilizes a little bit, dude, like y'all see. Y'all will see. There'll be some weird stuff happen. What makes Lake Fork so awesome? It's amazing. The stories you've heard are amazing from that lake. Let me come back to that one in a minute because that's a long answer there. 75-year-old from Canyon Lake, Texas. Love your program. What depths do you consider offshore? Well, I don't consider any depth offshore. I consider if it's offshore, offshore. Offshore can be in 2 foot of water or 3 foot of water. Like offshore structure can be really shallow. We have public hump on Lake Fork that's like 3 foot. We have bell hump. It's like 3 foot on top. Those are all offshore structures. I just consider offshore structure something that's way out away from the bank, nowhere near a bank. Now, most of the stuff we fish offshore on Fork, we look for the tops and all that stuff in anywhere from 15 to 25, sometimes 30 feet of water, but generally speaking, 15 to 25, depending on where they're at, what depth. I mean, somewhere in that range is usually the depth of structure that they're using when they are offshore. Who would I follow if I were a spectator tomorrow? Zaldane. Zaldane had the stuff. I've seen Zaldane. I've seen a lot of these guys practicing this week. The stuff Zaldane's on, if it hits, it's going to be the biggest home run if it hits. I don't know that it's going to hit. There's a lot of unstable conditions on the lake right now, but if it does hit, it's going to be amazing. All right, somebody asked me, why is Lake Fork so good? That is a long answer. Real quick, do we have a 6 cents promo code? Of course we do. Your Lake Fork Guide is the promo code on 6 cents. It gets you a 10% discount on all orders at 6centsfishing.com. Okay, Lake Fork. Why is it so good? This is a long answer. So, Lake Fork was built on old farmland. Very fertile farming land. A lot of dairy farms around here, a lot of cattle farms, a lot of farms. Everything was just, it's a fertile area. That's why all these East Texas lakes are all really good for big fish, because everything's fertile. They're not just good for bass. They're good for crappie. They're good for catfish. They're good for sandbat. Like, everything grows big in these lakes. And Lake Fork is the shining king example of all of it. And it's just a perfect storm of a situation where you had a very fertile area. You had amazing structure for the fish, the elevation changes, the creek channels, the depth drops, just all the versatility within the fishery. Plus, they left it slap full of trees when they built it. Now, that does a couple things. A, it gives the fish a lot of cover that lasts for a long, long time. We still have a lot of it now. But one of the things that it did is it kept most of the lake, like a lot of the lake for the first many years, was inaccessible to human beings. What that allowed it to do was establish an unbelievable population of fish and let them grow untouched. Nobody was able to get to them. You had fish that lived their whole life behind this forest of trees that nobody could access. So they had this big, huge lake with all this cover and all this structure and all this fertility in the water, and nobody could mess with them. On top of that, it's been managed for trophy bass from the very beginning. They've had Florida strain stockings, which help. They've had the slot limit, where all of our mature breeding age fish have always been able to stay in the lake. Nobody's ever been allowed to take any of the prime breeding age fish out of the lake because of the slot limit. You add all that up, and it just becomes a very fertile fishery where you have an unbelievable population of multiple bait sources, whether it be brim, threadfin, a gizzard shad. The crappie and the sand bass have become a bait source of their own. And the fertility helped the grass grow. For most of Lake Fork's life, it's had a really, really good crop of hydrilla in it. We don't have a lot of hydrilla in the lake anymore. We do have a fairly significant amount of coontail, so it still has a lot of fertility left. Now, the last thing that may be the most important, and I've zeroed in on this one in my thoughts because this is the one thing that's different from all the other major fisheries And Lake Fork's different. If you look at the records of what it's produced and all the fish it's kicked out, you'll see Lake Fork's the best big bass fishery of all time, like hands down. Nothing has produced what it has over history. Now, I think this has a lot to do with it, but this is my best guess. I'm no scientist, I'm no biologist, but this is different than all the other lakes. Lake Fork is the biggest lake with no river feeding it. The Sabine River does not run through Lake Fork. Lake Fork feeds into the Sabine River south of the lake. There's just creeks. There's no major river. What that means is no major flooding current, not compared to other lakes. What that means is the nutrients don't get washed down the river when it floods because it doesn't flood nearly as much. Like Lake Fork has never really flooded. It's honestly never really droughted. We got 8 foot low in 2011 when every other lake around here was 10 plus foot low. Like, it's just a very stable fishery, and I think it has retained nutrients over time, which has allowed it to stay fertile over time and grow these populations of everything in the food chain, from the plankton to the shad to the bass. So there's a lot of things going on there. Texas Parks and Wildlife deserves a lot of credit too, because with the slot limit and the Florida strain stockings, and they've done a lot to manage this fishery and make it a true gem of trophy bass fishing. So a lot of factors. It's a complicated deal, but it's all lined up to where there's just no other place on earth that produces what it produces. I mean, it's unbelievable. Am I noticing any grass or hydrilla growing? We have a lot of coontail. There's a little bit of hydrilla in some areas. There's some decent amounts of hydrilla. There is some hydrilla to fish in the right areas, but there's a lot of coontail in a lot of areas. Like, that stuff's coming on strong. And a lot of people think that coontail is hydrilla. It's the most common grass in these lakes around here, in all of our lakes in Texas, because it's the native grass. Coontail is native to this area, so you see a lot of it in these lakes, and people think it's hydrilla because it looks similar, but it's not. They're definitely different, but they're both very, very good. Caleb Brown says, that's awesome. Can't wait to fish it one day. Man, I hope you get to. Everybody, if you haven't ever fished Lake Fork, needs to. Now, I'm going to tell you, you're liable to get here and not catch a thing, because as good as it is, you got these 3 factors right here that you got to think about when you get here. People get to Lake Fork and they have a hard time catching a fish sometimes. And I'm like, this is why. A, it's not the biggest lake. It's 28,000 acres. That's nothing compared to a Rayburn or Toledo or a Falcon or, these 100,000, 80,000. I think Toledo's 180,000 acre lakes. But Lake Fork gets fished harder than all of them do. Like, the amount of pressure per acre is unparalleled anywhere else. So you have more pressure on these bass than anywhere else. That's the first factor. Second factor is they're Florida strain and they're big, which means the Florida strain influence, Florida strain bass are more temperamental, more moody, more finicky than northern strain bass. Everybody kind of knows that. And they're big. Big fish are harder to catch than small fish. We all know that. Big fish are a little bit harder to get them to commit and bite than a small fish is. If you don't believe me, go bed fishing. A 2-pounder will flip around and bite like that. A 10-pounder doesn't do that. The third factor is the food source. These bass on Lake Fork are never, ever hungry. They never, ever have to eat. So, to get them to bite can be tough. They're not really running around having to hunt down food. They just are the ultimate opportunistic feeders because there's so much food in the lake everywhere. So definitely come to Lake Fork because it's unbelievable, but be prepared. It might be tough to get them to bite. Do you think bass will be on regular pattern for June when Skeeter Owners is on? Yeah. They're biting good right now considering everything that's going on. But yeah, things should stabilize by then. I hope so. Golly, it's like been since October. Things are like crazy. Have I ever fished Santee Cooper? I actually have. When I was in the Marine Corps, I lived in Beaufort, South Carolina when I wasn't deployed. And I got to fish Santee Cooper while I was there, and it is awesome. Santee Cooper is awesome. Colton Loach says, I'm hoping the new Bodart Creek Lake can compete with some of the East Texas lakes one day. I have high hopes for that lake as well. Yeah, they're supposed to be building a new lake up here in kind of northeast Texas, And where it's located, it should be that story that I just told about Lake Fork could shape up the same way at Boat Ark, at the new Boat Ark Lake when they build it. If Texas Parks and Wildlife takes the same measures with that one they took with Lake Fork, and I hope they do, because it could become the next one. It really could become the next Lake Fork. It's set up right. The terrain there, the fertility there, the farmland, all that stuff is there. Where did I fish in Santee Cooper? I don't know. I don't know. I was in another guy's boat and I just rode with him. I'll tell you this: it was all like cypress trees and shallow water stuff. But I don't know where we fished in it. I just went along for the ride, bud. I didn't know nothing. I wasn't ever planning on coming back, and I just went out there and caught every one of them I could. Thank you for your service, man. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Thank you. Um, all right. Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I think I answered all the questions. I think I actually got to all the questions tonight. Maybe I didn't. Let me know if I didn't in the comments below. But really appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Oh, there's another question right there. What's your favorite scent to put on your baits besides a dye? I just use Bang, the Bang spray, Bang garlic. When I'm using scent on a fishing bait, it is not to entice the fish to bite it. It's to cover up my scent. That's the only reason I use scent. Have I ever fished Caddo Lake? I have once, but it's been many years ago now. Right when I first moved back to Texas in like 2010, 11, somewhere there, I fished Caddo. I don't remember it being real low, so it had to be 10 before it dropped real bad. Maybe 12. I don't know. But I did fish Caddo one time just for a few days, and it's a really neat fishery. Really, I always want to go back there, but man, it's a far drive for me, and I got to drive right past so many good lakes. I never get there. So, all right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and let it go tonight, man. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. It's a great time. It's a top waters. They're starting about top waters on a daily basis. That's a lot of fun. Man, I hope you guys get out there and catch a bunch of fish this weekend. I'm kind of stumbling over my words. My mind is melting because I'm tired from long days on the water. So I'm going to quit talking, let you guys get to your night, and we'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide.